my head. The heck? All right, are we live? I'm not sure what the heck that is on my head. I think I scratched myself shaving this morning. All right, let's see if we're actually live or not, or if this is a fake start. YouTube's been doing that to me a lot lately with these fake starts on this. Let's see what happens. See if we can get some people watching. All right, see what's going on here. I think that was a fake start. There we go. All right, I think we are getting a real start now, an official start. Hopefully that's the case. Get some people in here. You know, something I brought up in near the end of the last live stream, people had said, you know, Jason, guys, start working out to get girls. You need to answer those questions about relationships. And my answers are going to be my coaching services. My Dadbod to Daddy coaching program will get you women. That's it. Like you guys out there who say, I can't meet girls, I'm shy with girls. There's no good women today. Hire me as a coach. You'll get girls. My Dadbod to Daddy transformation program will make you attract so many women that you will have babies. You will have 100 babies. Okay? 100 babies. Guaranteed or your money back. By the end of your life, you haven't fathered 100 children. One of my transformation clients, I'll give you your money back. How's that sound? You can't beat that. All right, 100 babies. Even Kenobody doesn't promise that. All he promises is a Lamborghini. A Lamborghini and some tomahawk steaks. You do his Hollywood physique. You'll have 100 children with my program. Women will just line up. Just line up. Be like, I should father my children. For miles. So, now that marketing is out of the way, let's get over and talk about some training, some questions, and see what people have. It's early on a Saturday. Really, people aren't going out yet, unless they're in the UK, in which case they're already out, which means all my UK trolls won't be in here. Back is bigger. Said, sup, bro, sup. I'm just chiseling, doing my thing. I think I cut my head shaving really quick in the shower earlier, and I didn't get this other side. Thoughts on how much body English and barbell rows? I don't know. I don't have thoughts on it. To be honest, man, you know, what makes you happy? Right? Does it make you happy? I'm going to tell you right now, there is zero reason or benefit to have any body English on your rows. It will not add one drop of extra muscle to you, in my opinion. But if it makes you happy, then do it. You're probably not going to gain any less muscle for having done it, right? Tension, as long as your lats and traps are what fail, you're probably going to still get the tension, so it doesn't matter. But if you need it to feed your ego, then you know, use some body English. Otherwise, just be strict. And I think that's a very pragmatic answer. Rondo says, wait, did you bring back the daddy training mode? I thought it was part of it. No, I felt like changing it. I told you guys before, and these things people keep asking, they're like, Jason, how come you change it? Is it because the algorithm doesn't like it or they punished you? So that must be it. And then when I change it back, they're like, I thought that was the case. And I'm like, I didn't say that. I never said or implied that. I said, I just felt like changing it. People get too many crazy conspiracies instead of going, you know, maybe someone just felt like changing it. I felt like wearing a different pair of shoes today. Right? I mean, seriously, people think about that with the choices of the stuff you do like that, you know. What's wrong with just saying, oh, I just felt like wearing a different color shoes? So it's just a name change, no action, no change of the program, man. Still strength and aesthetics, right? Can we get some likes in here, guys? There's a bunch of you in here, 2 people asking questions and only 1 like. This morning I was 207. I will probably be down to 200 pretty quick. right? You're 207 this morning on the scale. And bicep veins. I don't have the veins popping right now. I did earlier. You know what? I should have got a pump or something before getting on the camera. I forgot to do any of that. Well, if I go to 190, I mean, I don't want to stand there and say I'm not going to go to 190. Right? Because I might. Let's just keep cutting and see what happens when we get there. You know, when I start cutting and doing stuff like that, you know, as I've gotten leaner and leaner, people are like, what's the end goal? I don't know. You know, here's the thing with training. I don't even like anymore unless you specifically need a weight class. All the excessive dedicated bulking and cutting. Look, can't you just focus on lean gains and recomping here and there and just continually, as long as you're either gaining muscle or losing fat all the time and your physique is improving, that's what matters. I think too many people get too caught up in specific body weight numbers and time frames instead of just saying, you know, I should work on just gradually gaining quality muscle and then maybe have some times where I get a little leaner, recomp, or maybe cut for a few weeks. But again, I don't think any of that's necessary if you don't absolutely need to bulk or cut. Like if you're a skinny guy, okay, I get it. If you're fat and you need to cut down, go ahead. Right? All right. Rhonda says, I've been trying to eat my protein from plants. Any other decent sources besides legumes? I mean, soy, peanut, whatever. Those are all fine. What's wrong with legumes? Apu, somehow I don't believe you there. All right. Let's see. My back is bigger. Said it's honestly a cheat code. How much leanness helps aesthetics is the number one predictor after overall muscle mass, maybe even more than muscle. I mean, how many guys are pretty aesthetic who don't have much muscle? They just got lean and have a little bit of proportion in the right places. Yeah. Max is sure says, hey, can you tell what a guy should do in his first 6 months bulking for max gain to shrink? No, I don't know what's going on with your specific situation, brother. What can getting stuck right at the knee in a conventional deadlift mean? Right at the knee? Possibly your hamstring. Maybe lats, though, if you're struggling to maintain bar path. No, Apu put in an application and then says that he can't figure out how to use Zelle. And now he's in here somehow had a medical emergency, but he can't miss my live, even though he's recovering in the hospital and was here waiting for the live, but couldn't message me back and finalize his Zelle. So, you know, Apu, this kind of tells me everything I need to know. Tell what we're going to do here, Apu. When you get around to paying your deposit for the application you put in, let me know and we'll unblock you on the channel. All right. That one's good. Sorry, it's going to cost you because you wasted my time. Morgan Pound, Jason, I'm 6'1" and 93 kilograms at 15% body fat. Should I slowly grind up or cut down to 85 kilograms first? I don't know, man. Do you want to get leaner or not? What's more important to you right now, Morgan? Like, that's the thing with these questions. What is more important to you at this time? I can't answer those personal questions. Dean says, so I strained my lower back doing deadlifts yesterday. I feel so worried I'm going to regress. I think the reason I strained my back was more to do with too much sitting. Well, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's happening with your specific training and overuse and why you strained your back, man. So I can't answer that. Are you potentially going to regress while recovering from a strain? Yeah, possibly. Keep blood flow to everything. Get it sorted as quickly as possible. What brand of t-shirt is that and where can I get them? I don't know. I've had this shirt for like 9 years. I bought a whole set of them. Actually, an ex of mine bought a whole set of them. She thought they looked good on me. And she bought them in like 6 colors or something. I think I still have them on the shelf. I got like 50 shirts I never wear for some reason. I just choose not to. I kind of like these though. I like the fit. I don't know the brand though. We bought them somewhere here in like Houston at a store. I forget which one. One of those stores that sells clothes. Wolfisher, someone starting skinny can go for 2 pounds a week. You're talking about gaining 2 pounds a week? There's no situation in which I would recommend that. I cannot think of a single situation in which I would tell you to gain 2 pounds a week, unless your goal was to be fat. Like if your goal was to do that weight gain 4,000 skit from that old original season of South Park, where they're like, what's that stuff? It's weight gain 4,000. It's helping me bulk up. Bulk up to what, fat ass? Super fat ass? Hey, I don't have to take that kind of crap from you scratty weaklings. So beefcake can't get through the door. Like that's the only reason for you to gain 2 pounds a week is because you want to gain 95% fat. All right. Benny Watt says, Coach, I'm applying to work at my local gym. What kind of questions should I expect to get in the job interview? Any tips? All right. I'm allowed about 3 F-bombs in these before. You ready? Before they don't like it. All right, Benny. How in the fuck would I know? Man, maybe you should ask somebody who's worked at a local gym. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. Ask them how much they're going to start paying you. Ask them if you're allowed to sell steroids in the locker room. What brand of shirts would you recommend to get the arms looking more jacked? Go in the store and find the ones that make your arms look more jacked when you try them on and buy those. Right? I got you guys covered. I got you covered today. Okay, so get stronger lats and or hamstrings. What exercises to improve the weakness? You don't know how to strengthen lats, pull-ups and rows. Hamstrings, you could do good mornings. You could do glute ham raises. You could do leg curls. What happened to the blue guitar shirt? The same thing that happened to all my other shirts. I have this place, this magical special place that we call, in America, we call it a closet. And in this place called a closet, we have things called clothes hangers. And you hang shirts on them and you put them in the closet. I'm on fire today with this useful, practical knowledge. But I'm surprised how much stuff people don't know. I mean, people said, Jason, you can't assume people know everything, when they ask questions. And I'm just going to work with that, man. If you guys don't know what happens to shirts when you're not wearing them, I'm going to explain it to people, right? I mean, some people have never heard of a closet or a clothes hanger. Parent says, Jason, what do you mean that if special supplements didn't have side effects, there would be nothing unhealthy about the extra? It really wouldn't. Wolfisher says, man, that's crazy. 9 years, right? I mean, do clothes, ask all sorts of stuff. James Davies Fitness says, hey, Jason, if a client didn't have access to reverse hypertensions, got that hypertension going on, cut your sodium down. What would next exercise be in for spinal or rector weakness? Good mornings, some other type of back extension. Ice Wallow Cave, how has your training evolved over time? I don't even know where to begin with that, man. Just my channel alone, look at how the training's evolved over 10 years. I mean, I started doing this 25 years ago. I don't even know how has it evolved? A lot. So what do you suggest for skinny guys trying to bulk? A pound a month is fine. Maybe 2 if you're really, really skinny for a little while. Tom Platt said that he squatted once every 2 weeks. You think that's the same approach would work for deadlift and back day because also very big. The size of the muscle group is not relevant, Luca. Luca loved Rick. It's not the size of the muscles, and lats are not anywhere near the biggest muscle in the upper body, right? Oh, and a back deadlift on the back day. Yeah, you could do that with deadlifts. I don't see a problem with that. I've known elite lifters who train like that on their big lifts. Man, this guy's sarcasm is crazy. Oof, yo, crazy. Favorite song off of In Utero Nirvana? I mean, obviously Smells Like Teen Spirit, dude. Come on. You know I was in high school when that hit. That was like #1 hit on the charts. One of my years in high school. That music video came out on MTV with all the cheerleaders and him doing the whole grunge thing, right? Yeah, the dudes in there. I Swallow Con. Favorite accessory for the squat? I'm going to go with the leg press or the good morning, depending upon the person's weakness. Parent says you don't think the increase in blood volume due to extra muscle mass. We don't have evidence that it does. I mean, again, the question becomes when people get gear big of is it the gear creating the problems or the muscle? Because everything below that threshold, cardiovascular health improves with the muscle gain. So do you see what I'm saying? You could speculate that it's doing those effects, but do you have any actual evidence? Because what we see in the lab is that any muscle growth gain purely from lifting weights seems to improve cardiovascular risk factors, irrespective of how much. It's when you start using stuff to get really big that the side effects of those magical supplements created. And so again, you could speculate otherwise, but you don't have any proof. If you extrapolate off the existing data, you would say it doesn't appear to be the case. Scott Humphrey says, I heard adding straps to deadlifts can add weight to it, and I've never used straps. I noticed you don't use them either. Yeah, why don't I use them? It's not a deadlift if I put straps on. That's called a gripless hip hinge. Rondo says, Smells Like Teen Spirit was on Nevermind album, not In Utero. I think you're right. You know what? They all came out in like the same couple of years. Nobody cares. That's right. So we had Nevermind, and then In Utero was one with the kid, the baby swimming in a swimming pool chasing a dollar bill or whatever. I don't remember which ones are on there. Which one has about a girl? As a ratio of your clients you have had, how many fall into the undereaters versus over? What ratio? If I showed you the list of names, you'd be like, dude, that's a lot of people who've been clients. I don't even have a number. I don't know. I don't know what the ratio would be. I would say, though, I've had more hard gainers than that people struggling to cut down. I mean, as a group overall. But definitely, obviously, some of both. Is supplementing aspirin good for heart and blood circulation? No, not unless your doctor thinks you should. All right. Jason, do you think you could pull 650 with straps? I don't know. I've pulled 625 on a deficit with straps on camera before. On for a 2.5-inch deficit. Right now, I don't think I could do it, though, for sure. My back is bigger says these. I'm just going to start calling you back. My back. My neck, my back. These days, don't you do all your tricep work with an overhead element for long head emphasis, or do you still do some lateral work? I did normal skull crushers this week. Bleach was their first album. You have no evidence that gaining muscle does anything but improve cardiovascular risk on a whole. So I don't know what it is that you're seeking other than you want me to say that lifting weights is unhealthy. And if that is what you were looking for, then you can eat a whole bag of dicks, good sir. The whole bag, the whole thing, every last one. How about that? I know recent studies showed a 5% calorie surplus to be more beneficial than, no. It was less than, it was like a 3%. I found with 5%, unless everything else is perfect every day, I can't progress 1 hour sleep. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't think you need a significant surplus to gain muscle if everything is dialed in. So let's come back over to the point. Why don't you just get everything dialed in? Why don't you just get everything dialed in? Favorite curl variation, I'm going to go incline curl. Benny says, Tyler down here is going to post something that's going to get him banned. Here we get ready. I'm waiting for it. But Benny says, do you think shoulders being the most aesthetic muscle while also being the largest upper body muscle group is correlation and causation? Maybe. But is it really relevant? Does it matter? We can simply go off of what the data shows and what we know about classic aesthetics and lines and proportion and realize it's just the case. Now, as far as the chicken or the egg, that our bodies have it designed for reproductive or peacocking purposes, that the most aesthetic muscle happens to be the largest one in the upper body, or are we just proportioned to draw us to see it the other way? I don't have an answer to your chicken and egg scenario. Long Leg says, thoughts on no fat for gains in the gym. Why would it do that? Like, why would any reasonable person think that this would do it? Let's just keep it here. Thoughts on Israel pushing periodization as the best way to get bigger. Kind of funny because I recall many years ago once him pointing out that periodization, the literature was not kind to it on hypertrophy once. But you know, we are actually allowed to change our minds if we have evidence of things, and that's okay. Like to be fair, that's not a problem. I don't see the evidence for it. What I do see the evidence for is that Mike happens to have a business that sells periodization programs. Now, could we argue that he's done that because he truly believes it's the best approach? But what happens if the evidence comes out contrary? Will he maintain that approach for the sake of his business? You know? Apart from using it within a max effort rotation, when and why would you consider using the decline bench press in a program to build pecs? It's a good chest exercise. Paradis says lifting weights is healthy, but so is running marathons, yet marathon runners still suffer from the same heart issues. Yeah, but Paradis, you're getting into a lot of nuance. What I am saying with those videos is that these activities will improve your overall health. And if you care about your health, you should do them. If you're going to stand there and nitpick about extremes, do you see where I'm going with this? You know, I've said before in videos that when you come up with something that is a great general rule and extremely applicable, when people try to point out the exceptions to the rules, to generic advice to show how clever they are, to display their intelligence, it sometimes does the opposite. because it really isn't that clever to say, okay, yeah, I mean, the rule you're giving is extremely good. The data supports it overall. It's great general advice for your audience, but you know there are people who are type 1 diabetics out there. Do you kind of see how that works? Okay. So my question is, where are you going with any of this? Overall, it is still heart healthy. Lifting weights and gaining muscle based upon all available literature appears to have no upper threshold to the overall average reduction in cardiovascular disease and the overall reduction in cancer and type 2 diabetes rates. So I don't know what else you're looking for other than saying, well, yes, it can have certain other potential side effects that can increase a single risk factor, but on average, the total improves. Like that's not workable because you don't have actual evidence. You know, like his reply, you said no amount of muscle is unhealthy because we don't have evidence that it is. There are open-ended side effects to gaining muscle that are health improving. And that is what we find repeatedly in the lab. And what I'm suggesting is that, in other words, you don't need to be afraid of gaining as much muscle as you can of, hey, it may not be good for my health, right? Using, get rid of these people. Using large amounts of these PEDs is why you are seeing health issues in some of these people. It's not because they gained muscle. Again, we come over to the fact that muscle itself tends to be protective in ratio to a lot of these risk factors. The more you gain, the stronger the protection becomes on a lot of these risk factors. Okay, so it's other stuff that's the concern. And so my point with that and saying that is that yes, there are health markers that you have that would improve even if you could gain magical 100 pounds of muscle magically overnight with no side effects. Okay? But you can't. Cameron Ramsey says, Coach, what is your favorite day of your current split, whatever day I'm doing? That day has to be your favorite. Is it better to train in the hot or the cold? I would rather train in the cold if I had to pick. How important is metabolic fatigue important for muscle growth? I'm not sure that it necessarily is to the degree that anyone says. But okay, let's answer the question truthfully. It's essential. In other words, zero metabolic fatigue, just like zero mechanical tension, you won't get any bigger. Right? On par with asking, well, I mean, if we're going to have a discussion about air versus water, how important is water for you to live? Well, it's pretty important. You'd have at least a little bit. That's the problem with some of these discussions that people have. They appear to have, I mean, you have at least a minimum amount required for any muscle growth. In fact, even sorry, getting sidetracked laughing at some of these other comments. All right. Would you be available for one-on-one coaching for all clients in different countries? All your expenses are getting paid? No, because you're not going to be able to pay me enough money for that. Like, that's not a valid question because my expenses and what I would demand exceed what would be reasonable for you to just hire a coach in your own country. And I'm not saying I'm not a good coach, but I am not worth a single person paying me, I don't know, $200,000 a year or whatever, right? So it's a silly question. It's a nonsensical question because my services are obviously not worth that. And I coach a number of people and have multiple businesses going with all of this. All right. Do you think you'll ever go back to rep work on back squat and deadlift? Sure. In fact, I'm thinking about doing some reps on deadlifts this coming week. Can you give your thoughts on the effective rep theory? Where do we want to go with the effective rep theory? I mean, I've done a lot of videos kind of discussing the ups and downs. It's a nice idea. I don't think it's a bad theory. It's not really supported by the data, and again, to try to pin an exact number on it, right? To pin an exact number on it, I don't think you can do that. But I think we can hypothesize that the closer we get to failure, that it's fair to assume you probably have a larger hypertrophic response. Okay. Oh, a dose of American hatred. There is a Pantera reference, technically a superjoint ritual reference. What's the biggest advantage and disadvantage of the Good Morning versus the Ardell, respectively, whether you want the weight in your hands or on your back? Good Morning is a little more variation because you can use different bars, different bar placements and stuff easier, whereas in the RDL is kind of there's not a lot of variation. It just is what it is. But it has to do with what sort of fatigue you're willing to accrue at the moment, because it puts different fatigue on different parts of your bodies to have the bar sitting on your back versus in your hands. It depends on what you're trying to do. In terms of actual stimulus at the level of the posterior chain, probably not significant. Long legs. And why would you think that transient shifts, and keep in mind a single study, that you said no fat, not no ejaculation. Those are two completely different things. Pick one. So number one. Number two, so where is your evidence that transient shifts in testosterone levels inside the normal physiological range increase muscle mass or gains? Okay. So even if you prove to me that going every day that you don't do so gave you a 20% increase in testosterone, there's no evidence that that's going to improve gains. In fact, the evidence suggests that it wouldn't do anything. If we go off the data we have, that's not enough to make any difference. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, if you were to look at what they did and replicate that study multiple times, and the shift in testosterone is within the levels that we know don't do anything for muscle growth, then we could speculate it does nothing for muscle growth. You have no mechanism at play. All right. My back says, now that you're engulfed in how am I engulfed in the aesthetics lifestyle? I thought that was like a subculture thing that I'm not part of. Dose of American, with what we now know about weighted stretches being valuable, I don't know that they are that valuable. I think that's a little bit of a stretch still based on any data. Would you add time under tension stretch for pause incline curls? Possibly overrule the advantage of the stretch reflex. Probably not on a bicep exercise, no, because it's not the same sort of stretch you're looking for. Yeah, back. I gave up on that question. I got more important things to worry about than worrying about if I don't know, what's his name? Jeff Side has great training knowledge or not. You know, I'm sorry, I have bigger things to worry about. I mean, just gonna be honest with you. Parent, what is your opinion on the best form? I don't think there is necessarily a best form of evidence. Observation, anecdote, strict clinical trials. But, the problem with a lot of clinical trials is lack of experienced lifters, right? Yeah, all that stuff. Spartan, no. What do you mean? Do it for fun. It still makes money and it draws clients. Like the client business grows off this pretty dang good. The clients that I make from YouTube makes way more money than the YouTube does. So, you know, but no, the channel's actually been seeing a little bit of growth again these days. Parent, what evidence do I use to determine my training? Combination of observation in myself, observation with others, talking to all the other coaches I know all around the world who I'm friends with, trying to have an objective look at the scientific literature and just taking all of it in, and a bit of experience and common sense. And we do the best we can. Long legs, I'm not going to answer that question for you. Again, that's exceeding the sort of topics I cover here. And again, honestly, I don't want my video getting strikes for that sort of nonsense. So I'm not going to answer that. Maybe you should go ask a channel that specializes in that topic, because this is mostly a lifting and nutrition channel. My back, Martin Burkham only uses Facebook and Instagram to market his coaching. What? My back, why would I do that though? Meaning, if I have a sizable following here that draws me clients, why wouldn't I use it? Like, that's an irrational question. I find Instagram useless. I've never found Instagram to be useful at all for me in business. I found Facebook to be, found YouTube to be. Instagram doesn't seem to be useful, for me at least. Mr. Blaha, what's the best exercise for lat growth? I'm going to go with weighted pull-ups. And I'm not going to answer your weird, bizarre question. You guys sure obsess over that stuff a lot. I'm thinking, and what you guys need to do, hire me as your coach so you guys can go get some women and quit worrying about this nonsense. Right? My Dadbod the daddy coaching, you will get girls. Guaranteed. Or your money back. You see the disclaimer, if you don't have 100 babies by the end of your life, I'll refund your money. A dose of American hatred in some plants, in what? Since some saturated fats in plants produce like stearic acid, have health benefits, I would still be careful of plant-based saturated fat. Meredith, I'm not going to go into all the fine details of when I adjust my positions on stuff. I mean, again, get with just the current stuff. We don't need to rehash every change and the when and why. There's good data to suggest training to failure is useful. And a lot of it, here's the number one reason. We figured out pretty conclusively, people are really bad at judging reps in reserve. And that's the biggest flaw in any sort of RPE-based training, is that it appears the majority of people can't actually do it. They cannot accurately gauge how far they are from failure unless they get within zero or reach failure. I mean, that's part of the problem from a practical perspective, setting aside mechanistic stuff. What do you hypothesize about the primary causation of hypertrophy, mechanical tissue versus metabolic fatigue? I don't think you can separate them. Meaning, again, it's like the question of asking me, how do I put this? Just like, what's more important for life? Like, what's important for life? Do you think air or water? Okay. All right. Spartan, why did you go back? As I've said every time, I felt like it. That's it. That is my entire conspiracy for all the people who stand around and go, Blaha changed the name of that training again. What's he up to? Okay. I felt like it. It really, guys, it really is that simple. That's it. Because I felt like changing the name. I thought it would be fun to change it. Sure. I mean, Paraneth, we all know training to failure does work. It's just always been the concern of do we need to? And, how do you balance out recovery with it? And at the end of the day, as long as you're not trying to push stupid volumes, it's not really a recovery issue. And I've observed in myself, other people, other coaches, you can sure get away with fairly low volume when you train to failure. You really can, and still see fantastic gains. A dose says, about how many years of consistent training does someone generally need to be able to accurately assess their reps in the reserve? According to the research, doesn't. Even advanced lifters, like 50% of them still couldn't do it in studies. Advanced lifters meaning 5 or more continuous years of structured training. On average, half of them, if I recall, still couldn't do it when put to the test in the lab. My back, well, you can look at how the training looks at this point. We keep the volumes moderate. We go really close to failure, keep the work relatively heavy. Work every muscle group, because you're going to have to actually make sure every head does get some work, because you don't have anything to carry over. Paraneth, no, I always knew training to failure produced hypertrophy. It was always the question of stimulus to fatigue. Was it worth it in terms of getting beat up? Okay. Do you see noticeable improvements giving a client speed work if their goal is to get faster versus just getting them stronger? Yeah, I personally feel so. If they have the right mindset predisposition when they do it. Okay. How can we get jacked vascular calves? Best way, you could train them. No, I'm not interested in a hair tattoo, dude. That seems weird to me. Limitless, I don't understand your question. Is it okay to mix 2 types of meat together? I don't know. Does your religion forbid it? If your God says that you're not allowed to do it, I'd be careful of it. But if your God and your religion is okay with it, go for it. Remember, respects and opinions on trap bar deadlifts. I'm going to agree with Alex Viata. The trap bar deadlift is a problem looking for a solution. Hey, Spartan, I don't get why you occasionally change the color of your shoes on a different day because you feel like it. Do you ever change your shirt, different color shirt, or do you wear blue every day? I just felt like it, brother. What's the problem? We always hear that connective tissue heals slower than muscle, but how exactly much slower? I don't think that's actually the case. Are you asking, is there a bunch of scientific evidence supporting that? No. Sorry. Parent, I think you in here just to argue. I mean, I've noticed that's kind of what you're doing. You just want to argue. Well, I disagree with this. Or you say, I don't like this. Well, pardon me. You're going to argue about heart health and lifting. You want us to believe that we can't gain too much muscle from lifting or it will damage our hearts. Now you want to argue about, this and that, whatever, dude. Hey, if you've got these positions, maybe you could start your own channel, make your own videos and give your viewpoints. It's all good. I'm just here to teach and to help everyone along in my own journey as I learn more as a coach and help others. I'm not here to sit around and debate with you. I'll give my take on things. All right. Do you allow your clients to change your training if they don't like a specific exercise? It depends on the client and why. Is it an exercise they really need to do? They need to do it then. If their goals dictate I need them doing that exercise, I tell them to suck it up, sweetheart. If they really and truly hate an exercise and it's not mandatory and I can change it for something else and get the same results towards their goals, then we'll change it. Yeah, my back is that. Most people agree my back is my best overall. Coach, I've been eating raw pork and chicken. That is, you need to stop doing that. I'm not even going to bother with the rest of your question. Stop. Do you think hip thrust and glute bridges are useless exercises like the trap bar deadlift? You haven't done them? No, I don't think they're useless. I think they're good exercises. Have you been to any meets lately? No. Does talking on live make you nervous? I notice you shake during these public speaking, gives me nerves. No, because sometimes I'm kind of bored here. I'm a fidgeter by nature. Plus, again, when I'm cutting, fidgeting and moving is good, so I try to get in the habit of doing it all the time. That's actually maybe a worthwhile topic. Now that you brought that up, that is actually a topic that I do see occasionally coaches mention, doesn't get mentioned enough, that actively making yourself fidget when you're in a calorie deficit is actually almost a documented way to lose body fat. Because again, we offset the change in need. Now, if I was nervous, I wouldn't do it. I've been doing this a long time. I was nervous when I took my first public speaking class. My very first one, I was like this, right? I was over here like this, shaking, trying to do my thing. Got my little, yes, this sits underneath my screen for me to look at while I'm working. Wealth and prosperity flow to me like water. Right there at my work desk for me to see. It's always in my vision. Parents said, sorry, man, bad. Maybe I should start a channel. Thank you for being cool. Yeah, man, start a channel, dude. Would you ever do one-on-one coaching? Yeah, if the money's good enough, if it works within my life and schedule. My friend has similar ability to teach one around 5'7" to 5'9", 8. In terms of always been liking 2. Do you prefer intensity or high volume? The intensity seems to work better for me because my arms get fatigued really fast. What? You're doing band pull aparts to your neckline? I don't know about that. Coach, I noticed a little weird dot on the back of your head. Yeah, it's because I have a bump back there. And I cut it a lot shaving accidentally too. Limitless. I don't understand your question, man. So let me ask you a question, Limitless. obviously changes in people's diet can affect PRs and everything else that they do. So what does the country that you live in or come from have to do with that? Like, do you believe that because you come from a specific country that you're going to just be magically predisposed to a different rule for something like that? That because there's a border created by a government, that it creates magical powers of biology. So would that, if let's say the changes in diet do that specifically to Indonesians, what happened if you were born 5 feet outside of the border of the country? Would it not do that anymore? Okay, and here's the tricky one. What happens if the border changes? Like, so what happens if you were born inside the border of Indonesia, and therefore this rule applies to you with your PRs and your diet, and then something happens and the border changes in some agreement with another country, and then it turns out you were actually born in a different country? Would the rule then change on your diet? That's the sort of questions we really need to be asking with stuff. Let's get into the deep end of that. Like, what specifically about nationality causes that effect? And does it matter which side of the border you were born on and if it changes or not? Might need some studies on that. How much would you charge for one-on-one in-person coaching? Probably $200 an hour. For a strength and fitness channel, what kind of content would you recommend I make? Heart health stuff? I don't know. What is your area of knowledge in? I always thought I had bad acne at 20. I was doing BJJ for 2 or 5 years, very, very hard. Stopped chasing $700 and all my acne went away in a week. I guess you were just getting that sweaty rolling, man. The face pulls works for adults, right? Doing face pull apart so the neckline. No, it's fine at the low level. Yeah, but Spartan, he's asking me about Indonesians. And he's asked me a lot of questions, and I've already previously told him, I don't know anything about Indonesia. So because this individual knows that I have zero knowledge and zero experience of his country or the culture, he continues to ask questions like that. Even though he knows I've never been there, I don't know anyone from there, and I don't know anything about it. So I just have some fun with it at this point. Dips versus JM press for triceps. JM presses. Mr. Accord, you should absolutely not be eating raw meat. I do not advocate that. Why don't you do good mornings anymore, Jason? I don't feel the need. I've been doing more deadlifting type movements. Okay, limitless. So the proper way to ask the question would be to simply ask me about rice, all right? Because you always bring up the country, and you know that I don't know anything about the country. So if your question is about rice, see where I'm going with this? Maybe you should ask me, is eating rice okay? Because I know about rice. And it would help a lot. It will give me a better context for those questions. Because every time you mention the country, when you already know I don't know this, you're not going to get it. You know that I'm not going to know the answer. Right? So I just have fun and make it into a joke. Why did you drop the hanging leg raises? I didn't. I did some this week on camera. Mysticator, no, you should not be eating raw meat. And no, mixing it with raw rice won't help. Yeah, that's another good question too. We're talking about gains, and what time is it in Indonesia? If it's like 3 a.m. and you're up here, doing this, that's possibly a problem. You're messing with your whole circadian rhythm just to be in my live stream. Thoughts on RDLs for style? Yeah, I mean, you can do them for style for sure. I have never played Tin Pan Alley. That's a lot. Most of Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff is still outside of my current skill level. I got to keep working on it. I mean, I can do a little Stevie Ray Vaughan, but overall, pretty high level guitarist. Is 30 minutes of list cardio 3 times a week enough to get cardiovascular benefits from? Yeah, you'll get health benefits from that for sure. Mysticator says, I can't stop eating raw meat. It's almost addictive. Do you advise as a health coach, or should I maybe consult a psychiatrist? Yeah, dude, if you're addicted to something like that that is harmful, like eating raw meat, you should absolutely consult a psychiatrist about it. Do you prefer, Dean? I walk a bit, not for hours and hours. Do you prefer machine calf raises or barbell makeshift? Honestly, if I had a machine, I'd probably use it. I don't think there's a significant difference, but it's probably a hair harder to get under a barbell, with a belt on and all. Load the barbell. I mean, the machine would probably give an identical effect and be a little quicker to set up. So I don't see why I wouldn't. Do you still drag sled? Not lately. I mean, earlier this year I was doing some sled work. I still have my sled. You guys might see it in some of the training clips. Can you play something you're working on? I've done that on here a couple of times, man. I picked up the guitar in some of these and done a little playing. I'm not messing with much new that I'm ready to really show on here yet, because I've got stuff I've got to work on more. Plus, I really suck at playing sitting down. Let me see. Right? You guys all know that classic. I kind of rushed through a couple of little transitions. All right. Let's see. We're at 58 minutes in, though. I'm going to wind this down here in a minute. I might run it a few more minutes. I don't know if that was that awesome. That was just me jumping up, throwing a little bit of AC/DC in there. I don't even really have that song down yet. Did anybody recognize it? That's the thing. I know it was my rendition of Still Learning It, and it was unplugged. Let's see if anybody can guess what the song was, though. I'm going to give you all a minute. No, there was no amp on. That was just unplugged. I got in a fight with my rate. I was in the shower. Dude, I had a plumbing issue. I had to have a plumber come out, and then I remember I had to turn the main off because of a minor leak in a pipe. And then I turned it back on. I was trying to shave my head really quick in the shower and then turn the water back off. It's been fixed since then. But I was probably rushing it. As you guys noticed, this whole side didn't even get done. And I think I cut myself shaving. Because I am silly. So things like this happen. No, that Limitless, that was not Highway to Hell. Okay. No. No. That would be this. Woman, when I put the amp on, this mic just goes crazy and weird. It doesn't, when I've done it in the lives before, it does not like it. Limitless, that was the song he just guessed. He just said that was Highway to Hell. I'm like, no, it wasn't Highway to Hell. This is Highway to Hell. Right. The other song is Want to Tell You a Story about a woman I know. When it comes to loving, she steals the show. For those who know the song. All right, come on. Sing along. All right. All right. Oh, come on, man. You uncultured people. The song is called A Whole Lot of Rosie. A whole lot of Rosie, a whole lot of woman. Great song. All right, you guys go check the song out then. So after this, everyone, if you don't know this song, right, you're right here on YouTube. Go type it in and check it out. Right? It's called A Whole Lot of Rosie. The lyrics are fantastic. All right. So on that note, do you guys want another little more music? Hold on. So let me play while I chat with you guys. Because if I do that, if I play while I'm chatting, let's see if I can actually read you all stuff while I do this. Right? Here we go. Right? Right? You guys all know this one. Come on. Been in the Iron Man movies. Oops. I started playing back in high school. Yeah, back in high school. Then I took like 20 years off. Been back at it just over a year. All right. Is that enough playing for you guys? You play with other men on the guitar. Yeah, I jam with my bros, dude. My best friend for life plays the bass. Our other best friend actually plays drums and guitar, has a Les Paul, so he likes to sing. We jam out, dude. We have fun. All right. All right. Yeah, it's a wrap. And anyone that wants to get clapped, I'm going to sing some Ja Rule there. Everyone's going to be like, what? Blaha knows who Ja Rule is. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wind it down, though. He's right. So I hope it's been informative. I love all of you guys and gals. I love you guys at Bicep Shop before we go. And I'll talk to you next time.